It's time to get back out into the cornfields and harvest some corn. This is gonna be day number 2. And another thing that I've done to the combine since day 1 is we have added this chute, or whatever you wanna call it, off of our auger. Yesterday when I did unload some, it just shot kind of out until it started running full, then it kind of came down at a nice stream. So this will kind of act as a nice deflector. Should work pretty good. And for you John Deere fans, you have the green, and for you international fans, that gives you a little bit of red, I guess, however you want to look at it. We're gonna let the combine warm up here just a few minutes before we get rolling. This first field, which is all we're gonna probably get done tonight. Hopefully we get the whole field done. It's about an acre, roughly. It's one of those fields that's just gonna really make me nervous the whole time. I've been kind of dreading it the whole day so far, thinking about it. And I'm making it worse than it probably is, but it has a slight hill to it at the top side, and it gets better as you go down. But it just sketches me out. When you're up in the cab, it really feels maybe a little worse than it is. So I just don't want to roll a combine is what it comes down to. So hopefully that doesn't happen. That's definitely on our list of things not to do. So we're gonna jump in and head down to that field, and you won't really be able to see what I'm talking about because it's kind of in the middle of the field. So once we get going, you'll probably be able to see, but it's just gonna be a little bit sketchy. Here is the field. It looks really narrow on this end, but as you get out, probably past that tree line there, it does widen up a lot. But you can kind of see right here, it does slope down. There's a hill there, and I will say it's worse than what it looks. It doesn't look that bad on camera, but it's a little worse. So the upper side here is not as bad, and then I'm gonna try and keep the engine side up on this side of the hill. If we feel any sort of not right, or like it is getting a little weird, I don't know, we might just not harvest that section. I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I'm not going to risk my safety or, you know, rolling the combine or anything for a little bit of corn. I'm sure a lot of this is because of me sitting up so high, it just feels worse than it is, and I'm not used to the machine yet, so, but I just don't want to push it to that limit. It's even worse out there. So I think I'm gonna go these bottom rows and go out through that way, and I don't know. Again, I'm not gonna risk it if I don't feel safe. I think I'm barely gonna fit under this. We're just skipping the first 2 rows because there's hardly anything on it and it's too close to the edge. Yeah, I'm barely gonna fit under that. kind of overlooked one very important detail. Apparently I am low in hydraulic fluid because I can't really get the corn head to raise very well. It goes up and then stops. I lose power steering, it comes back, I lose it. And I checked the dipstick in the reservoir and it's a touch low. It's barely onto the dipstick, so never even thought of checking that before we even began harvesting. So I will be walking back up to the barn, grabbing the side-by-side, getting some oil, and it's unfortunately getting dark. So hopefully I can do that, get that quick, come back down here and continue harvesting. We probably have, I think we did, I don't know, 6 rows, 8 rows, something like that. So I'll run up and grab that and come back down and fill it up. So I topped off the hydraulic fluid. It was definitely low, 100%. Now what I'm running into is something which looks rigged before from probably previous owners. The hydraulic pump is, you can kind of see it right there. It's not fastened anything. They had it just hooked with a chain. The chain came off, and when you would go max with, it was actually like spinning the whole pump around and kinking the lines. You can see where it hit the tailings elevator there. So we're gonna try and get that figured out. I'm not really sure what the deal is there, how it's supposed to be fastened, because I don't really understand. I feel like that should have been mounted on a bracket or something, but I don't really see anywhere for it to mount. And I just tested the corn in the grain tank. It's testing at 17%, so not too bad there. This field's definitely ready to get off. It's dry enough for me, so I need to get rolling and get it off. Again, with the hills, I don't know how much of it we're gonna take, but I think we can just roll with the rest of the fields here as well. So maybe I can get a little bit more tonight. It's obviously dark now, and I do have a light on the front, so I might keep trying to roll a little bit here and then probably take it back up to the farm and at least unload the grain tank, and then we'll resume tomorrow, and hopefully we can get this off and start on the other ones, because they do want rain Sunday. It's Friday night, so if I can get majority of the day Saturday, tomorrow, without breakdowns, we should be able to get everything off and hopefully beat the rain. Then we can work on planting wheat in these fields, because I think we would have time to, before the temperatures obviously get too cold. So we'll try and get this fixed and see what happens, and if we can keep rolling, then great. I'm about to get started on what I guess you could say is day 3, but we're gonna just put this in day 2 video, mainly because this is actually the first mostly full day we're gonna be cutting corn. So hopefully the combine doesn't give us any fits. We did have a little bit of issue last night. I don't know if the clutch was slipping or if it was a belt slipping. I'm not sure what the problem was. It's really the only time it's done it, so I don't know. And it was on a hill, so maybe it has something to do with that. Hopefully none of that happens. And I looked at a bunch of different things and I didn't really make any adjustments, but we'll, I guess, just roll and see what happens here. I did make some adjustments with the chaffer, the sieves, and I'm probably gonna have to make some more adjustments with the concaves and maybe even the rotor speed too. So once I do all that, we'll double check, make sure we're not getting as much junk and cracking of the grain in the tank, and then we'll see what happens with that. So we're gonna get the combine fired up, warmed up, close all of our hatches that we have open. I greased a few more things, and hopefully we can go finish that 1 acre field roughly. And that's the one with the hills, so we may finish it, we may not. It just depends how I feel. And then we have 2 more fields, roughly about 1 acre. And then I think the second one is probably 2.8 acres, but then we weren't able to plant some of it just because of it being wet in the spring. So it's probably more like 2.5 acres. So, and that is the nicest field. So I'm really excited to see how well that yields, and hopefully the combine gets us through everything. Pretty much have this entire side done. I just don't know about the hill there. Don't know that I'm gonna try it. A couple spots because of wow, it just got really deep and weird. I don't want to roll the combine. I, for the most part, have this completely done. From basically here out to there, it's this whole top side for the most part. I don't know, I'm not comfortable with it. So therefore, I'm not gonna do it. Crappy part here is, this is where the majority of the nice corn is. I did pick a lot by hand, but there's just too much in here to try and do. You can see them all hanging. So it is unfortunate, but just kind of, it is what it is. So I could come back through here and pick all this by hand, but you can see the angle that the combine's at already. Basically, right the way you guys are looking at it is level for the most part. The camera is level. So it's leaning. You come up here, it gets worse, especially down over in there. So you know what? As much as I want to get this corn, it's not worth me getting hurt or me rolling the machine. So we're gonna go unload what we have and move on to the next field. This I tested this morning when we started. It's 16% now. So we're doing pretty good. Grain tank wise, we got a decent amount in there. More than we had in there last night, I believe. And we would have got a lot more with everything up at the top. I mean, we did get a decent amount of the field, but a little bit at the top here, just not gonna happen. Now we're gonna move on to probably our best yielding fields, and should be the better, easiest picking ones too, I guess. This is the field we're gonna be moving to. This field along with this creek field. Hoping that they're probably around, 16, 17% as well. The only downfall of that is you end up with a lot of header loss, but to have these dry as possible. We want 2 days worth of rain coming, so now's the time to roll. This field's a lot flatter. This is basically not even 2-hole passes, and we're not even in good corn yet. That's end rows. Combine's doing pretty good. We do have a little bit of jump right here. So we might have to close the sieves down a little bit more. I want to test the moisture here before we get too carried away. See what it says. Wow. 15.7. I like it. probably about halfway done. It's getting a little hilly there, so I started going back and forth on this end of the field. We probably should unload. These bin extensions, I'm sure probably aren't really for the 3300. I don't know, I could be wrong, but we could get a lot more in here, but it's really gonna add some significant weight on the axle and all that stuff, so. Nothing like a fresh cut cornfield. And here is our grain tank again. A little bit of junk. Overall, not too bad. Definitely a little bit of cracked grain in there for sure. So I think I'll take this back, we'll unload, and then we're gonna go start working on the last and final field, which is gonna yield really well. Definitely a little junk there. We got this box, so I had to put a ratchet strap around. I only filled it 3/4 because it's bulging. One full bag and another full bag so far. We're running about 15–16% moisture. It's right, pretty much right where I'd like to be. So now we're gonna go to the Big Creek field, which is the last field that we have. I know we're not gonna get it all done tonight. I could run in the dark, but it's already 20 to 5, so we gotta get moving. This is the field that I'm really excited about. Hurricane Debbie pushed all this stuff in. I moved all of it out of the rows. We're gonna jump in, probably hit the end rows here and then run out through. This field should yield pretty good. rows, which would probably be, I think, about 12 rows. Yeah, I think 12 rows. And then we did a bunch on the opposite side, coming back towards us. So I did do a test on it. It is about 20%, so that's not really where I'd like to have it. We are supposed to get rain tomorrow, and not a lot, and maybe a little bit Monday. So unfortunately, I think I'm just gonna let this sit here and probably dry out a little bit more. They do want like 3 days this week where it's supposed to be maybe 60 and sunny. So any moisture it does pick up with any of the rain should kind of get out of it. But we will have to get it before it really starts getting damp and raining a lot, because then it'll just rot and sprout and mold and the whole 9 yards. So that's gonna conclude day 2 of cutting corn or shelling corn. I have to go unload this, feed the animals yet, and I'm gonna call it a night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed finally seeing the John Deere 3300 combine out at work. I know it's doing well for me so far. So as always, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.